Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. Today we'll be continuing our possible playstyle series for the factions that we expect in Total War Warhammer 3. The focus at the moment is towards the Demons of Chaos. Yesterday we looked towards a possible mono-god Slaaneshi faction, so today we're going to focus around Grandfather Nurgle. So without further ado, let's begin. A common misconception revolving around Nurgle and his forces is that his army itself will focus only around slow-moving forces. It is of course a fair assumption due to most representation of Nurgle focusing around slow yet extremely durable armies. The reality of it is, by tabletop and lore standards, Nurgle's forces may be the most versatile of the four Chaos Gods in terms of army composition and playstyle. Nurgle's basic frontline, either mortal, demon, or mixture of the two, will focus around slow-moving units as expected. Plague Bearers are the perfect example of this, where yes, they are slow, but their high toughness, also known as physical resistance, will keep them alive as they march on forwards. Of course, Plague Bearers, Chaos Warriors of Nurgle, and other basic frontline infantry would need to hit hard to balance out the slow movement, and that is what is expected. Chaos Warriors of Nurgle, for example, normally are seen with great weapons, and this makes sense of course, as if you're moving slow, by the time that you actually get to your enemy, you would have already lost a few entities, so if you're going to hit, you may as well hit as hard as possible. Now of course, if your army is just relatively slow, then you will suffer, especially against any ranged or very high magic output forces. You'll be able to take a decent amount of punches, but it's only so much that you can actually handle. Because of this, Nurgle had a variety of different monsters or other types of units to be able to hold your enemy down, with the Nurglings themselves being a mainstay for this army, fast-moving swarm-like units which would be able to hold down your enemy whilst your other forces such as your Plague Bearers and your Chaos Warriors would move up. Swarms themselves have not been featured yet in Total War Warhammer, instead they've been introduced in the form of abilities, but the Nurglings themselves are so extremely popular, I do think that they'll eventually find their way in. Especially as I imagine that tar pits would be quite important at least in early game, once again reinforcing the stereotypical slow-moving Nurgle forces. However, once you get to mid to late game, then things are gonna start getting a bit more different. It can be assumed here that if we get a mixed roster of demons and mortals, then you will have two different choices of playstyle to go about, well, potentially a third if you mix all two. You can continue with the slow-moving army format if that is what you wish, further reinforced by units such as the Putrid Blight Kings. A common misconception would rank them alongside the Chaos Chosen, but that's not the case. The Putrid Blight Kings are far more durable and way more destructive. While not the fastest unit once again, it can be assumed if they follow their lore or tabletop implementations, they will be able to take a heavy amount of punishment and still carry on moving. These would pair nicely for those who want the more stereotypical horde of flesh type of route. Of course, I did mention that there is a versatility in regards to Nurgle's forces, and that would be the other type of playstyle revolving around monsters themselves. This is where other demonic entities such as the Beast of Nurgle comes into effect. A large-ish demon which is quite durable as expected, but also moves at a relatively decent pace and has regeneration. These are your melee powerhouses, the ones that will become very common for you in later game, and likely a monster which will feature very heavily on your Doomstack armies. As of course, single entity monsters are quite powerful, and since they have regeneration they'll be constantly healing. Or if you want to try something rather drastically different, it can be expected that we will get the Plague Drones of Nurgle, both with Demon Riders or Mortal Riders. This is your monstrous cavalry, But not only that, they are monstrous flying cavalry. Nurgle is of course one of 2 Chaos Gods which has access to aerial support, with those belonging to Nurgle being quite powerful on the tabletop and in lore, due to the fact that once again, yes, it's Nurgle, meaning that they are very durable. They should be able to take a lot of punishment, and when they land into combat, be able to deal a lot too. So far, with a brief look, you can tell that Nurgle's forces are quite varied, a bit on the slow side, yes, but that was to be expected. However, I still stand by the fact that Nurgle's forces are the most varied. Now of course, Nurgle's own unique lore of magic will also come into effect here to further bolster up your playstyle, where the lore of Nurgle is focused around augments mostly. While of course your spell lore will feature the typical damage spells, your main focus is actually boosting up your own forces. Giving them regeneration and increased toughness will help them out as they slowly make their way up to the enemy, whilst also being able to buff up your basic units with poison attacks will make sure that they can do some extra damage. Again, if you're losing a lot of troops getting there, you need to do as much as possible. While of course, like I said, you will have damage dealing spells, the lore itself should focus around buffing up your forces first and damage output second. While this doesn't sound too interesting, bear in mind that you also have access to another lore of magic, that of the lore of death. With both of them paired together, as it's likely that you'll have multiple spellcasters in one army, then it should pair out quite nicely, as your lore of Nurgle will focus around buffs and your lore of death will focus around doing damage. So far we've covered Nurgle and Slaanesh, and you can see that both Chaos Gods are quite drastically different. Soon enough we will cover Tzeentch and Khorne and once again showcase that they could be potentially quite different in Total War Warhammer 3. Of course, as always, my video research is based around lore and tabletop more than Total War itself. It's very obvious that I'm more focused around the 2 other mediums, yet I believe that they will translate rather nicely when it comes to Total War. But what do you think about Nurgle's possible playstyle in Warhammer 3? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and let's start a bit of a discussion. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel has been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.